United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
On May 2, 2011, after U.S. Navy SEALs killed Osama bin Laden in his home, they disposed of his body within the next 12 hours in the northern part of the Arabian Sea. Osama bin Laden, the 17th child in a family of 54, was the son of a wealthy, religious Saudi Arabian billionaire. Despite this, the USA ensured that his body did not fall into anyone's hands and was buried thousands of feet under the sea, far from human reach. Hello friends, my name is A2, and there were three major reasons behind burying Osama bin Laden's body in the sea. The first reason was that Osama was banned in his homeland, Saudi Arabia, and there was no place there for his dead body. Now the question arises, Osama was born into the family of a prominent, influential Saudi business tycoon, so why was he banned? Well, Osama's family was so wealthy that when the Saudi king's treasury was running low, the bin Laden family literally paid the salaries of several government officials out of their own pockets for 6 months. Not only were they rich, but the family was also deeply religious, including Osama himself. Every year when Muslims from around the world came to Saudi Arabia for Hajj, Osama's father would personally host prominent Islamic scholars. During these events, Osama frequently met these scholars and built relationships with them. But again, the question remains, despite being so religious, why was Osama banned? Well, that's where things get interesting. Osama's mother claimed that he became an extremist Muslim partly because of his college. While studying public administration at Jeddah University, Osama met members of an activist organization called the Muslim Brotherhood. His mother believed these individuals brainwashed her son. They radicalized him in the name of Muslim supremacy. Coincidentally, during this period, the USSR invaded Afghanistan, a Muslim country, which further fueled Osama's extremism. Osama's extremism deepened, and he began making secret trips to Afghanistan to help. Using his old connections, he started building new relationships with extremist groups operating there. With the help of these extremists, Osama began recruiting volunteers from his home country, Saudi Arabia, to join the war in Afghanistan. He didn't train these volunteers himself, but outsourced the training to other organizations. His next focus was collecting funds, which was relatively easy for him. Considering his family's status, he quickly established a base in Peshawar in 1984, where he began directly conducting volunteer training. A database of all volunteers was also created there. Essentially, this operation started functioning like a proper system or organization, marking the beginning of Al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Iraq's new leader, Saddam Hussein, began expanding into oil-rich Gulf nations. After Kuwait, Saddam had his sights set on Saudi Arabia. To protect Saudi Arabia, and specifically Mecca and Medina, Osama wrote a letter to the Saudi king, requesting permission to deploy his volunteers against Iraq. As Osama was mobilizing his men, news broke that Saudi Arabia had called on the Americans for help. Now let's rewind a bit to explore how Osama's life unfolded, and how a highly intelligent engineer turned into a terrorist. Well friends, Osama bin Laden's story is quite fascinating in itself. Osama was strongly opposed to American help because he wanted to prevent any Western influence in Saudi Arabia and ensure the country was built solely on pure Islamic principles. This put the USA on Osama's radar. He used his connections to issue a fatwa. The fatwa declared that it was a religious duty for Muslims to go to Afghanistan for training to fight their enemies. This religious card worked effectively, and after the fatwa was issued, over 4,000 people left Saudi Arabia for Afghanistan. Naturally, Saudi Arabia was not pleased with this, and they imposed a travel ban on Osama. However, he cleverly found a way to travel to Pakistan under the pretext of a business meeting and then moved to Afghanistan. He never looked back at Saudi Arabia. Despite several attempts by Saudi Arabia to persuade him, and according to some reports, the US even offered Osama's body to Saudi Arabia, they refused to take it. After Saudi Arabia, the next likely recipient was Pakistan, but they didn't get the body either. We believe there had to be some sort of support network for bin Laden inside Pakistan. In an interview, Obama directly stated that bin Laden had an unknown support network in Pakistan. For this reason, the US didn't even consider keeping Pakistan in the loop, let alone handing over the body. And perhaps Obama was right here. The US brought mujahideen from around the world, trained the Taliban, provided them with weapons, and sent them in. They were our heroes. Osama bin Laden was our hero. A zero-to-hero figure. Time and again, Pakistan's top leaders referred to bin Laden as a hero and martyr. This is the second reason for Osama's sea burial. The USA did not want to allow a terrorist's shrine to be created, a mistake they had already made with Saddam Hussein's body. Therefore, even before Osama's death, a plan for his body's burial was in place. After his death, the US Navy SEALs first conducted a thorough identification of the body. Interestingly, since Osama was about 6 feet 4 inches tall, the mission commander had a soldier of a similar height, around 6 feet 2 inches, lie next to the body to compare. Based on the height difference, the commander called President Obama to share this information. Obama humorously responded, "You had $65 million for helicopters, but you didn't have $10 extra for a measuring tape." This response made the stressed soldiers laugh for a moment. But the mission wasn't over yet. The body was taken from Abbottabad to Afghanistan for DNA lab identification. Within about 12 hours, the body was transported from Afghanistan to the deck of the U.S. aircraft carrier, USS Carl Vinson, which was anchored in the Arabian Sea, as per the plan. The mission commander re-verified Osama's body, after which Islamic rituals began. First, the body was washed and wrapped in white cloth. A U.S. military officer recited last prayers for Osama, which a translator translated into Arabic. Finally, the body was tied to a weighted bag and cast into the northern Arabian Sea forever. Thus, Osama's body was lost forever, and this was done because the U.S. had learned from its past mistake. What mistake, you ask? Listen carefully. After the 9/11 attacks, when the U.S. government accused Iraq's President Saddam Hussein of supplying chemicals and biological weapons to terrorists, Saddam was committing genocide against millions of Kurds in Iraq. Stopping him became critical. The U.S. launched an aircraft attack, captured Saddam, and the new Iraqi government started a court case against him. In 2006, he was sentenced to death by hanging, after which the U.S. brought him to Iraq for the execution. Respecting Islamic traditions, the U.S. handed Saddam's body to his birthplace, Tikrit, where he was finally buried. However, at the time, a 4-day curfew was in place in Tikrit. Despite this, thousands of people took to the streets, chanting pro-violent slogans and firing into the air, essentially calling for revenge. From that day, Saddam's grave became a pilgrimage center for Iraqi extremists, where his extremist life is still celebrated today. The US did not want the same thing to happen with Osama's body, as even in death, he could have been a powerful motivational figure for terrorism. Another option was cremation, but that was impossible because cremation is strictly forbidden in Islam. Respecting Islamic rituals, the US chose the final option, sea burial. Even after this, the US faced heavy criticism from the Islamic world. Now let's discuss the third reason in detail. Why is cremation forbidden in Islam? Islamic rituals consider cremation disrespectful. Muslims are not allowed to burn a body or even watch another's body being burned. According to Imam Dr. Abdul Jalil Sajid, chairman of the Muslim Council in the UK, Islamic burial rites involve 4 steps to be completed within 24 hours of death: washing the body, wrapping it in white cloth, reciting prayers, and burying it with the head facing Mecca. However, if a Muslim dies during maritime travel and cannot be brought to land within 24 hours, a sea burial can be organized after following the above steps. In fact, Malaysia's National Space Agency is even working on space burials for Muslims who unfortunately die in space and cannot be brought back to Earth. According to reports, the US handled Osama's body in accordance with Islamic rituals. Despite this, Lebanese cleric Omar Bakri Muhammad claimed that the US used the sea burial to demean Muslims. Similarly, Dubai's Grand Mufti Mohammed Al-Kubaisi stated that sea burial is only allowed in extraordinary circumstances, and Osama's case did not qualify. Interestingly, after facing global criticism, when the US attacked ISIS chief Baghdadi in 2019, he killed himself with a suicide bomb. What happened to his body remains unknown. US General Mark Milley only said his body was handled appropriately, with some reports suggesting Baghdadi was also given a sea burial. However, the US has never officially disclosed what happened to Baghdadi's body. And friends, there are many other famous people whose bodies have never been found, like Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire. Did you know that no one is allowed to see Genghis Khan's body? Why is that? Well, I've already made a detailed video about it, which you can watch by clicking here. It's a very interesting video, And if you learned something new from this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the USA A2 Memories channel now and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any updates on our upcoming videos.